thank you, Nicholas, for choosing to help out with us, and thank you for agreeing to come on the show today. Yeah,
Yeah, my sincere pleasure, Bryce. Pleasure
yeah,
to be here.
fantastic. Well, pretty much we're just talking about Praxis experience. I'd love to have this be kind of just educational for everybody who is just watching. A lot of people are going to be very new to this, so anything you want to share is great. So let's start it off, shall we? So just to start it off, why don't you tell us kind of why did you join Praxis? Kind of like where were you at before you started Praxis, and then why did you end up going to Praxis?
Yeah. So I initially, after high school, I thought I wanted to go to college and do engineering and teach myself computer programming and become a computer scientist and help people in that way. But ultimately, as I was in high school and in college, I was running a business buying and selling precious metals and helping people sell their coin collections and stuff like that. And I ultimately just kind of clued in that that was way more interesting and fulfilling for me than crunching the numbers and doing math equations and stuff. And I ultimately decided to drop out of college a couple classes short of getting my associates before transferring to a four-year school to pursue running my first business, TT Coins, full time. And then with that, I learned and I grew a lot, and I moved out, and I got that business to a place where I was able to sustain my own finances, and I was partnering up with local stores and stuff. But I ultimately ran into some really hard self knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and self awareness barriers with that. Like I wasn't ready to have my own business and fully sustain and take things to the next level. So I needed some kind of other option as I was deciding to wind that down. And I discovered Praxis through someone who I knew had just dropped out of high school in order to do the program, and they got into sales.
Mm.
And it occurred to me that, well, if I have an entrepreneurial spirit and I like the idea of running my own business, learning sales is one of the most fundamentally valuable things that I can do in order to make myself more successful in anything that I choose to do in the future. And so Praxis set me up with a really excellent sales apprenticeship. I ended up moving to a new city and really loved the whole experience of it. But that's kind of where my head was at initially.
Nice. I kind of have a similar starting story for the most part. I started my own small business doing yard work and odd jobs. I didn't go quite into the coin collection selling and rare metals, but I did kind of the same thing. I was growing my own business while I was going through college at the time, and I
Nice.
eventually hit that wall where I didn't really know where to take it from there, and so I didn't see college personally as the right path for myself. And so that's kind of how I also got into Praxis was I was looking for a mentor to kind of help me figure out the pieces that I was missing to that puzzle. So that's really cool.
That is super cool, and I'm super glad that you found it. I think that you'll get exactly that.
And I did get exactly that. I'm
Yeah.
also a Praxis alumni, so I've already finished up my own apprenticeship with Stupid Raisins, which I'm still working with as of right now. It's been awesome so far.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
apologies I didn't clue into that. I definitely have seen your name around. Didn't clue in that you would be an alum by now. It's
Yes.
crazy how quickly time flies and how many new cohorts and new people go through the program.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's
It,
awesome.
it it's pretty crazy how quickly time flies. So who did you end up going with as your business partner?
Yeah, I ended up I wanted to work at a company called Guild Quality, but then when
Okay.
I applied and went through the SDR hiring process, I ended up getting declined because I didn't have a good enough pitch for them on the phone. And I
Mm,
learned from that whenever you're applying for a sales job, you should always be prepared to give the full-on company pitch.
right.
Um, Now, I ended up getting placed at a company called Reliant Technology down in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was a really interesting and fun opportunity and a really cool company to work at, especially given where I was at as a very first job. I learned a lot with that company, in good ways and in bad, but overall the experience was very fun.
So I'm personally not a salesperson myself. I did a little bit of sales, but not very much. I lean personally more towards the operations side of things. So for somebody who's looking to get into sales, what do you recommend, like trying to learn or take on any challenges or maybe a project that might be a good idea to look into if somebody's interested in improving themselves in terms of sales?
Yeah, I think that it's really important to surround yourself with other people who are on the same path and same journey as you. And it's a lot easier to find those people now with something like LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me one sec.
Good thing.
Pardon me. Um, it's a lot easier to find those people now on something like LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
but it's any community that you can tap into, whether it's a Slack community like Rev Genius
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Like for me, I didn't have a community, so I built my own sales mastermind, and I invited other people in the Praxis community to join that. But I also was like paying for sales training from someone I really admired called Grant Cardone.
Mm.
So I like initially got my sales training from him. And like now there's a whole bunch of other stuff that like I probably would recommend other resources for people for various reasons, but like just going the extra mile and like trying to do something to hone in your craft and surround yourself with the ideas and the people that are doing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I actually remember when you guys were first starting out the sales mastermind. I ended up joining one of the marketing masterminds for a little while. I've been on a few of those calls. Nice. So during like the program part of it, or the program, the training portion of Praxis, the first 6 months, what was like your favorite project, or what portion of the program did you really enjoy?
Yeah, so Praxis now is like fundamentally different than when I went through it, and
Mm-hmm.
what I experienced is still very different from what you experienced, Bryce.
Yeah, and it's changed even with me from where I'm at. It's changed.
Yeah, right. And I think that they're definitely on a trajectory of always improving and
Mm-hmm.
always making it more valued, for their customers, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what I remember being really cool was the 30-day blog post challenge. Not sure if they're doing that anymore.
I did that one as well. I don't think they're doing the 30-day blog post challenge, but I think that is still part of the program, is still having some sort of a blog writing as well.
Yeah, it's the idea of like building up a personal
Mm-hmm.
brand and an online presence. That whole deal that still exists, but yeah, that was really cool. But I mean, honestly, the program now there's like a lot more checks and balances, and it's much more structured. When
Mm-hmm.
I went through it, as soon as I actually started my apprenticeship, that was like 80% of my focus,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the praxis experience, really the value I gained from it boiled down a lot to the relationships that I was able to build
Mm-hmm.
and the apprenticeship experience at Reliant.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. I really personally, I really love the writing the blog posts. I love that 30-day challenge. I still do the writing blog posts. Once I
Nice.
got my apprenticeship with Stupid Raisins, I started writing my blogs again. So every week I've been putting out another blog post. As of right now, I'm on to week 31 as of right now.
Beautiful.
Yes, that is
Wow.
awesome. But yeah,
Yeah, that is a this is a ridiculous question, but
mm,
since I've misheard you, I believe twice, is the business partner called Scooping Raisins or Stupid Raisins?
Stupid Raisins. It's called
Really?
Stupid Raisins. Yes. Would you
Oh,
like to know the story behind that?
yeah, I actually would.
So Stupid Raisins, we make Final Cut Pro video editing plugins for video editors.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
well, the owner Dylan didn't want it to be Final Cut Pro plugins or something along those lines, because you know what, every other company has that name. So he's like, you know what, I hate raisins. Let's go with that. And he also has like this T-shirt that he found that actually gave him the inspiration, which actually did say Stupid Raisins on it, which was a cookie with raisins in the cookie.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I bet sales calls for that company are kind of fun. Hey, this is Nick with Stupid Raisins.
Yeah, we don't really have a sales team. It's just more of marketing for the most part for
Gotcha.
us. Yeah, it's really cool.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a really strong, nice little community. I love it. I love that job so much. so
Yeah, it's really cool, like the caliber of opportunities that exist inside of the Praxis Business Partner Network. I'm
mhm.
always amazed that we have like Impossible Foods
Oh yeah.
and other like just really interesting brands, and like so many small companies too that are just like, you'll never hear of them, but like the founders are really amazing, interesting people,
Mm-hmm.
and they totally get the ethos of you don't need a college, you just need experience. And these entrepreneurs that are partnering up with Praxis
Mm-hmm.
are really giving young people like a fair shot at developing a meaningful
Oh yeah.
career. So
And that's why I feel very fortunate that I got with Stupid Raisin as well. I got
yeah.
my apprenticeship started right around COVID, right when COVID was starting. So I almost ended up moving out to New York City. I was very close to
Oh,
moving out to New York City, personally.
whoa. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a totally different trajectory.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely did. I'm glad though because I ended up getting to work from home remotely, so I get to stay here, which is great.
Huzzah.
Yes. So where did you end up moving for your did you end up moving for your boot camp or for
Oh, I
your
sure
apprenticeship
did.
portion? Where did you end up going?
Yeah, so that's another huge element of like what made the overall experience so meaningful for me
Mhm.
is I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and
Mm.
the farthest I had moved was for that business. I moved 30 minutes away from like the childhood home,
Mhm.
and it's not the same as moving to an entirely new city where it's like, all right, time to build a new life, a new network.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's surprisingly not that difficult with Praxis because there was already at least 5 or 6 people, and then by the time that I had like stopped and like finally graduated from the program, there was like 12 people in Atlanta that
Wow.
were directly Praxis or Praxis alumni. And then the cool thing about Praxis is they're tapped into so many other micro communities. So like the Foundation for Economic Education is a huge ally of Praxis, and there's
Nice.
the whole fee headquarters down there. So there's like, I don't know, man. It's just there's so
Oh.
many different cities throughout the country. I'm in Austin right now, and like already have leveraged the Praxis network. But yeah, like Atlanta was beautiful. It was fantastic being able to move.
Oh man, that is awesome. I truly I'm
Oh,
kind of thinking about the idea of moving down to Austin, Texas myself. I'm kind of throwing around that idea because eventually I want to have my own tiny house and then kind of get out of my family's hair for the most part so I can finally have my own start to life. So I think that would be really cool. Moving down to Austin, Texas, kind of meeting people. And plus there's a pretty big Praxis community already down in Austin, Texas, so I feel that that would be awesome to get to know more people face to face.
oh yeah. I mean, I haven't even met anyone, and I've been here for 4 months now.
Mhm.
But it's like there's at least 10
Mhm.
people who are like directly affiliated, either employees or alumni or participants. So I mean, yeah, Austin is a beautiful city.
Mhm.
Would highly recommend if you haven't. Have you visited here before?
I
Like, what
have
appeals to you about
not.
Austin?
I
I'm
have
curious.
not. I actually am going to be going out there this next year for the Praxis meetup, which I'm excited for, and it's also going to be a few
Yeah.
days before my birthday, so I'm really excited.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so amazing to hear. Yeah. Like I think that you'll really appreciate the energy of this city as a whole,
Mhm.
especially when you're in downtown. Even like the suppressed COVID-19
Mhm.
version of Austin is still my favorite city. So I'm definitely here to stay.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I look forward to visiting Austin, Texas. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I met well, it was hilarious, dude. Like one of the first weekends I was down here, I met Alex Jones,
Oh my.
and that dude is a freaking character.
That guy, I know
I
him.
went
He's
to Barton Springs.
yeah.
Yeah, I went to Barton Springs, and he was doing this whole like lockdown protest, and you could just hear him bullhorning as I'm walking up to the pool. Globalists destroying this country. COVID lockdowns are unconstitutional.
Oh
It's like
no.
he's exactly what you would expect in
Yeah.
person. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he has that 100% energy all the time, and it is crazy. Uh,
Yeah,
that that man is a character. That man is a real character. All right.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Oh, man. Okay. Hmm. So
Sorry to make it a weird transition for you. It's hard to go from Alex Jones to Praxis and
I
and
know
work
it's
life,
like it's
but
going one direction to another. It's crazy.
yeah.
No worries. This happened plenty of times yesterday. Oh, man. But anyway, so you already finished up with your apprenticeship. So are you still working with that same company, or did you move on to something else? What is going on nowadays?
Yeah, I worked there for the better part of 3 years. It
Oh
was great.
wow,
Totally. I gained a ton of sales experience, sales management experience, SDR, account executive, you name it.
nice.
Really solid start to the sales career, and I killed it, and I'm grateful for that. But the company had issues,
Mm-hmm.
and I ultimately decided to part ways.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I started my own consulting firm
Hmm.
in the same space. And from this, I feel like I learned a lot. Like again, like when you're an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
it managing all facets of the business is very mentally taxing and like teaches you a lot in order to make that as efficient as possible.
Oh yes.
Uh, in doing founder sales and all of that stuff, like I actually flew out to New York City to meet the president of one of my former customers and like close him on letting me doing a consulting engagement for him. And so that was really interesting. Like, so I think ultimately, like, I learned from doing that it's incredibly important to actually give a fuck about the business that you're
Mm-hmm.
starting in the industry and like really believe in it, at least for me, because I had no passion for data storage and IT hardware. I just saw an opportunity to make money by applying the knowledge that I had gained.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never signed like a non-compete or anything that would make it, illegal to do any of the kind of work that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, man. It still ultimately was a very big learning experience because, you know, even if something isn't illegal,
Mm-hmm.
there's something to be said about like the company that you work for in many ways owns the relationship with the customer, and then you as an employee of that business get to also like work with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it's not legally binding, I still felt like kind of like in an ethical gray area,
Right.
even though like objectively there was nothing illegal in what I was doing.
Right.
So I had a conversation with someone who like really opened my eyes up to that because I wanted to potentially look at transitioning and working for him. And then we had a fantastic interview. All signs were looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started speaking about like the consulting that I was doing, and he was like, "Well, wait, how do I know that you won't just do the same thing to me? Like I
Mm.
can't hire you."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh fuck,
Yeah.
wait
That's.
a minute." And that, yeah, that like really jumbled up like my thinking. It was like, okay, so I made the decision like within hours of that call. I was like pacing around, just like thinking, shit, did I fuck up like really bad? Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything, but is it still bad? Like I made the decision to transfer all the intellectual property that I had and all the trade secrets and stuff over to my current customers, and just give it all away to them and shut down the business. And just like, you're going to be completely self-sufficient. Here's how to do everything that I do. Here's the names of the vendors. Here's the pricing that you should expect to pay. And it's been a real pleasure working with you. And then, son of a bitch, an hour later, the president of the company that I flew to New York to close called me up on my cell and said, "Nick, what's going on? Are they threatening to sue you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they are. So I've got to shut down." And he's like, "Well, look, you don't have to do it under the name of a nerd party, but why don't you just continue doing this for us on a consulting basis, and you tell me your fee, and we'll work something out." And that was like the most beautiful example of being willing to, like, once you acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
like I might have done something wrong, and I'm going to make the very best that I possibly can out of this situation in a way that supports everyone that I work with, even if it comes at the short term like expense of my profitability and my pride. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And like the universe just comes around and says, "No, that was actually a really good thing. Like, here you go. You're going to make a couple grand a month for sending emails for 20 minutes a week. Like, you did the right thing. There you go." And I was
Yeah.
just like, fuck.
I
So,
agree. I agree. It's a good idea to kind of admit when you're wrong or when you've made a mistake, because you know what, in the long run, if you don't, it's gonna bite you in the butt later on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yeah.
Um, I was able to transition, like, from doing that into becoming the very first account executive for a software company called Toggle,
Mm.
and I just wrapped up my tenure there. I basically ended up building their entire sales organization from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, which was a really cool opportunity. Really grateful for the team. It was a great company to work at.
That's really cool. I kind of have I have the operations version of that. So for Stupid Raisins, I'm helping out with building kind of how the team works together and making sure that all the little systems that we have function properly and make sure that when we get ready to launch our web pages that those pages are working correctly or we're sending out the emails at the right time and that sort of thing. I'm helping with the planning of the back end. Whereas for you, it's kind of you're working with the customers and working on the front end of the business.
Yeah, but also the back end sales. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a tech stack to operations and the web development type work.
Yeah.
Just like there's a back end to funneling leads that come in through intercom and request a demo into the CRM, and then like what tools do the sales reps use to reach out to them and all that fun stuff.
Hmm.
So the work that you're doing is extremely valuable, and you can leverage that in a whole bunch of different ways later on in your career. That's very exciting.
Oh yes. And actually, I'm super excited because not only do I get to learn basically how a business runs, this
Mhm.
actually kind of puts into the next little portion. So I have a personal project that I'm working on where I am putting together a list of short stories to put into a book and then sell online. And the
Nice.
systems that I'm learning through my job with Stupid Raisins and getting that experience is pretty much setting me up to build this business online and sell these books and so forth. So I'm super excited to get that going this next year.
That's amazing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool how the skills you learn in the practice apprenticeship and beyond are like always transferable too.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, that's just awesome. I love the fact that you can do that. And like all the sales knowledge that I'm gaining through these opportunities that directly or indirectly Praxis helped with. I've now started doing sales consulting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, like there's no limit to it, man. It just keeps going up and up.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Um, I do have one more little question for you. So as of
hmm
right now, do you have like any cool projects or anything that you're working on these days? What are you trying to focus on these days? What in terms of like a project or something like that?
Yeah. So first, a check with you. Is my audio still coming through good?
Yes, your audio is still coming through.
Okay, great. Yep, I switched. Okay. So yeah, projects these days. Building up the sales consulting business.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of clients right now. I'm serving as the interim sales director for a startup here in Austin, as well as a more like sales advisory type of role for another startup based out of Memphis. And that's all going well. It's called Rundlett Solutions. That's the consulting company. And then the sales mastermind army. It's www.mastermind.army is my quote unquote side project.
Okay.
Basically, I've run a sales mastermind for a really long time, and all I'm doing is recording those calls, making content out of it, and trying to spread the value of the sales mastermind to as many people as humanly possible so I can build up an audience and then hopefully, fingers crossed, sell some online courses and like, you know, e-learning materials and stuff, information content to people who are new to sales that are trying to learn sales fast. So
Ooh.
that's the pretty much the full plate for now.
Okay, that's really cool. So, quick question. Do you mind if I put later on when I get ready to put this recording up on YouTube? Do you mind if I link that project in
No,
the?
please do.
All right, I'll make sure to do that. I'll ask you for the link later after the call. Then. All
hmm
right, that's really cool. Oh man, I'm kind of running out of questions now.
Well, there's no expectation. It's a really good conversation, Bryce, and
Oh yeah, it's really
yeah,
cool.
I think it's really interesting that there's some similarities kind of in our backstory,
Hmm.
especially coming into Praxis. That was really cool and interesting to learn.
Yeah, and even though we both took different paths, it's very similar in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you find that like a lot of the folks that you've been attracted to in the Praxis community, maybe have like connected with more deeply or made friendships with, do you find that there are a lot of those similarities, like in backgrounds? Not always, no one's ever the same person, but
Hmm.
there's definitely patterns.
Like somebody's decided to do something for themselves, and that's kind of what I've noticed. Yeah, there's a lot more people in the Praxis community that are more self starters, I would say, that they
For
didn't
sure.
sit around and wait for somebody to say, "Oh yeah, this is a good idea," like waiting for the professor at the college to say, "All right, you're gonna go for an engineering degree." No, we said, "No, we're gonna do our little project, and I'm gonna go start a business, or I'm gonna start doing artwork and stuff like that." Yeah,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of self starters in the Praxis community, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that, again, like I've made so many really amazing friendships out of it.
Mhm.
Um, like even romantic partners. Like
That
there's,
there you
it's
go.
totally, yeah, like and I'm sure in the future, like business partners as well. Like you
Oh
just
yes.
find really high caliber, really high quality people. So that's, I think, a decent note to end on is like a little free sales pitch for Praxis. If you're a good person and you like good people,
Hmm. There you go. The
Praxis is for you.
Praxis for you. Praxis is for you.
Boom.
Oh man. So actually, that kind of brings me around to another question. So,
Yeah.
for when somebody's new wanting to join Praxis, what do you recommend they focus on in terms of like learning or maybe doing a project or something to help better their chances of trying to get into Praxis? Because after all, Praxis is very selective on the type of people that they let in.
It really helps if you have something tangible that you've done or built, to step outside of like the normal crowd or whatever. Like the fact that I had TT coins and like I had grown a YouTube channel and an Instagram page, that was a major plus. It doesn't have to be a business though. It can be like, hey, I just have a website that has my art portfolio on it.
Right.
um, it can be like any number of different like little projects or something tangible that shows that you've done an extracurricular and you've documented it and it exists. Like that's probably one of the biggest things. um, Even like if I were new and I didn't have anything like that, literally all I would do is I would reach out to 3 Praxis alumni and I would interview them, in a similar fashion that you are right now as an alumni,
Hmm.
and just like make a 20-minute video clip out of it and just like send it to the person who is like evaluating me at Praxis
Yeah.
and be like, hey, this is I'm interviewing these people, they're super cool, figured I would ship this over to you so you can use it for marketing collateral.
There you
Like
go.
you can totally build your own, you can build your own credentials is what I'm trying to get across.
That's exactly right, and that's technically what I'm doing here too.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. All right. That's really cool. Oh man, this is fun. All right.
Agree.
All right. Well, I don't really have any more questions for you at this time. Uh, I'm pretty good to call it good here if you are.
Yeah, I am.
All
And
right.
candidly, Bryce, I think that this was fun, and it would be super fun to do a follow-up chat
Oh
sometime
yeah,
in the coming weeks.
that would be fun. Maybe I'll try and do something again next year or maybe in the coming months. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how well everything goes along.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. All right, I definitely wish you the best of luck in everything you're doing at Stupid Raisins and beyond. And I really appreciate the chance to talk today.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for coming on the show and thank you for sharing your story to everyone. This has been very educational and fantastic. Thank you, my friend.
All right,
All
take
right.
care, Bryce. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hey there, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to like and subscribe for more. And why not let me know down in the comments what you enjoyed most from the video. Also, quick announcement before you head off. This year, I'm going to be hosting a Streaming for Charity event over on Twitch starting this December. I'm putting together a scholarship for young professionals who want to jumpstart their career through Praxis instead of going 4 years through college. The goal is to raise $200 this year. It's going to be a fun time this December as we'll be doing community events, and also I will be interviewing Praxis members live on a new podcast that I have in the works. Hey, be sure to keep an eye on my Twitter and Discord for more announcements on what's coming up. Have an awesome day, and I hope to see you this December as I'm streaming for charity this 2020.